What are interrogative sentences? They either ask a question or they end with a question mark. Interrogative sentences usually answer a WH question or an yes or no question. Now let's look into the personal pronouns. Personal pronouns can be divided into singular and plural. First person singular is I and first person plural is we. Second person singular is you and second person plural is you. Third person singular is he, she or it. Third person plural is they. Now let's once again look into the personal pronouns. When first person singular is I, the plural is we. When it is you in the second person, it is you in the plural also. When it is he, she or it in third person singular, it is they in the plural. Now let's look into the verb forms. Now three main verb forms are be, am, is, are, was and were. Have, it is has, have or had. Do, forms of verbs are do, does and did. Now since we've looked into the personal pronouns and the verb forms, let's conjugate it into a chart. When first person singular I is the subject of a sentence, then the present tense am is used. And in the past we use were, and in the future tense it will be shall be. When the personal pronoun we is used, the verb form of be will be are in the plural present tense, were in the past and will be in the future. When you is used as a subject, we use are in the present tense, were in the past and will be in the future. When he, she or it is used in the as a subject, then present tense it is, past was and future will be. For they, we use are in the present tense, were in the past tense and future tense it is will be. Now let's conjugate for have. Once again, if first person singular I is used as a subject, then present tense it is have, past tense it is had, and future tense it is shall have. Now, personal pronoun you, if it is used as a subject, then present tense is have, past is had, and future will have. For second person pronoun you, present tense is have, past had, and future will have. For personal pronouns he, she, or it, in the present tense we always use has. Likewise, in the past tense it is always had, and future tense will have. For they, we use have in the present, had in the past, and will have in the future tense. Now let's conjugate for do. When you take do form of verb and the subject is I, then in the present tense you use do, past did, and future tense shall do. When we is the subject, present tense is do and did in the past, will do in the future. For you, it is always do in the present, did in the past, and future, it is always will do. For he, she, or it, we use does in the present tense, did in the past, and will do in the future tense. And they, if it is used as a subject, then we use do in the plural, did in the past tense, and future tense it is will do. Now let's look into what are auxiliary verbs and what are main verbs. Now main verbs are also called as lexical verbs, which means it's nothing but the action words. For example, talk, dance, etc. Now, what are auxiliary verbs? They are helping verbs. They are not the main verbs. These auxiliary verbs are useful in giving short answers to questions. The main auxiliary verbs are be, do, and have. Now, when you conjugate be, you have am, is, are, was, and were. When you conjugate do, you've got do, does, and did. When you conjugate have, you have has, have, and had. The other auxiliary verbs could be the modal auxiliaries. For example, can, could, may, might, will, would, shall, should, ought to, and must. The WH questions. Now, what are they? They ask for information, and all the question words begin with the letters WH. They are what, when, where, who, whom, which, whose, why, and we also use how. Now, these WH questions are also called as open questions. The reason being you can have n number of possible responses, but one condition: the answer cannot be yes or no. So how to form a question for a sentence given? Sentences basically are of two types. One, with an auxiliary. Two, without an auxiliary. Now let's take a sentence. For example, I spoke to my sister. I is the subject of the sentence. Spoke is the main verb and sister is the object. Now let's look into the verb spoke. What is the tense? It is past tense. How did we arrive at this? It's nothing but did plus speak. Now, based on the given sentence, we need to form a question. So, the structure of a question will be: you need to begin with a question word, that followed by an auxiliary, and that being followed by a subject, a main verb, and a question mark. Now, let's conjugate according to this structure. Now, the question word should be asked in such a way that the answer you get will be sister. So, sister refers to a person. So, what will be the question word? It is whom. So, auxiliary verb, we have already conjugated the verb spoke. It is did plus speak. So, auxiliary verb is did. The subject of the sentence is I. Now, when you frame a question, I will become you. And the main verb is speak. Spoke is the main verb. The root form of the verb is speak. Therefore, main verb in the question will be speak. So, answer will be whom did you speak to? Followed by a question mark because we're asking a question. So, whom is the question word, did is the auxiliary, you is the subject, and speak is the main verb. So, this is an example of a sentence without an auxiliary verb. Now let's look at a sentence with an auxiliary. He can speak French. Let's take the sentence for example. He is the subject, can is the auxiliary verb, speak is the main verb, and French is the object. Now if an auxiliary verb precedes the main verb, then invert the position of the subject and the auxiliary verb. And the structure of the sentence will become question word followed by an auxiliary verb, then subject, and then comes the main verb followed by a question mark. Now let's conjugate this. So what is the question word? For that we need to look into the object. The question word, when asked, should give a direct answer of the object. So here the object is French. So the question word can be what? The auxiliary verb is can. So when an auxiliary verb precedes the main verb, the condition is invert the position of the subject and the auxiliary verb. So he can speak French will become what can he? He can will become can he? What can he speak? So what is the question word? Can is the auxiliary verb, he is the subject, and speak is the main verb. So we've got a direct question to the given sentence. Let's take a look on structure of WH questions. With auxiliary, without any auxiliary. With auxiliary, the structure is WH word followed by auxiliary verb, that followed by a subject and the main verb. Example, why should he write? Why is the WH word, should is the auxiliary, subject is he, and the main verb is write. Now, without any auxiliary, the structure is WH word followed by a main verb. Who won the game? That followed by a question mark. WH word is who. One is the main verb. Now let's take a look on these words who, what, which, whose. They get information about the subject or object of the sentence, whereas whom can elicit information about the object of the sentence only. Now, having seen so many things, let's now look into the question words and what they refer to with an example. Question word who refers to person, where refers to place, why reason, when time, how manner, what object, which choice, whose position, whom object of the verb. Now the question words what kind refers to description, what time refers to time, how many refers to quantity that is countable, how much refers to amount which is uncountable, how long duration, how often frequency, how far refers to distance, how old refers to age, how calm refers to reason. Now, since we've looked into WH questions, let's look into the usage. A short recap. When do you use what? To ask about things. Where? To ask about place. Why? To ask about a reason. Who? To ask about a person or people. And how? To ask about manner. Hope you enjoyed watching the video. See you soon in the next video. Thank you.